Hello. I'd like to do my impersonation of Groucho Marx. Say the Seiko Award and win yourself $50. Call me a cab. Okay, you're a cab. None of this is important if you want to read tarot cards. I just felt like doing it. But just lost my mind a little bit. That's all. But you can practice that though if you want to and master it like I did. But anyway, I thought I'd go over some ideas, suggestions that I think are important if you want to learn the cards, how to approach learning the cards. There's a hard way and there's an easy way. And I think the easy way is a better way to go. It's real easy to get confused today with this subject. And part of the reason for that is because there's so many options you can go, so many different ways you can go, so many sources, so many decks. And I suggest right off the bat getting, whenever you first start to learn how to read, your thinking is, I'm going to get a special deck. It's going to be real unique. It's not going to be like everybody else's tarot decks. And so you look for that special deck, something like this, which is a beautiful deck, by the way. The Black Tarot. I'm not going to open it up, but there are all sorts of unique decks out there. But as you're starting to learn the cards and you're buying books or exposed to sources on YouTube or whatever, they're usually using a standard deck, which is going to be the Rider-Waite or the Marseille for the most part. And so they don't look, a deck like this wouldn't look anything like what you're seeing on the screen or in the pages of a book. And that makes it more confusing. So start out with, I think a good bet is a Rider-Waite. My first three books, Genius, Essential Tarot, Unlocking the Mystery, and Radical Tarot, Breaking All the Rules. All three of those, I used the Rider-Waite deck in those books. My last book, Bare Bones Tarot, I used the Tarot Marseille. My deck, my Tarot Marseille. And I think it's important to be familiar with that deck. You might not want to use it professionally, especially the Rider-Waite. Be familiar with that because most sources out there will be using that deck. So you pick up a book on the tarot and they're using that deck, it's nice for you to be able to be familiar with what those cards are. And as far as learning the cards, as far as the meanings go, you're going to find that very loose from one source to another. And that's why I think it's really good to go with some type of keyword for each of the cards. I'll put a link here down below to my keyword meanings, my YouTubes and that. Those are all in my work, all in my books. But keywords is what you're going to end up going with anyway. You could read 3 pages about what a card means, and you're going to be thinking afterwards, well, I guess that basically this card means whatever that keyword. You're going to make a word in your head what it basically means. And as you start to read, your meanings are going to shift into your own little bit, slight changes here, slight changes there. Maybe you like the source over here as far as this card, but you like another source over here as far as that card. You can mix it up and you'll start to see what works for you. And reading the tarot cards is an art. I'd have to say it's an art because I do know too many readers and everybody reads different. And so are you. And that's fine because they're all good. There's not an incorrect or correct way to read. It all works. So you're going to eventually find your way anyway. Anything you're learning, whether it's from my books or from somebody else's work, is just a start, something to get you started. Because you're going to go your own way anyway. After you start using the cards, you get your feet wet. It's going to be your thing in there. You see, this works for me better this way or that way. And you're going to fine tune it to customize for your way of doing it. And you'll see that that's what works best. There are some suggestions I would say, though, are learning keywords for card meanings. Don't forget about the pages of meanings. Don't try to get too deep into some deep meaning about what the card means. Certain books I would stay away from as far as trying to learn the cards. One of them is The Golden Dawn. This is old stuff. Golden Dawn, this is all sorts of stuff, not just tarot cards in here. But they're very old. It's interesting to read, but you don't need to know about the zodiacal sign of this card or that card, or you don't need to know about what planet this card is with. There's even musical notes for the cards in that. You're not going to use that. So I would stay away from something old like that. Another example is Pictorial Key to the Tarot. This is Arthur Waite's book on the tarot, on the Rider-Waite deck. His approach to the cards, I think, is very much in line with the Golden Dawn. He was part of the Golden Dawn. So again, it's very confusing. It's a very confusing read. 1910. Another classic book to get, and I mentioned this before in other YouTubes. Tarot of the Bohemians by Pappas. Very confusing read. Interesting, though. I would stay with the more modern approaches. YouTube's got a lot out there. Practice the cards, and you should be fine. Get a couple books, but try to stick in a certain direction instead of getting all this bombarded at you, all these different directions. You won't know where to go. So keep it simple and start throwing those cards on the table. That's important. Start using them. You can use the cards without even looking at a book. I know readers who never read a book on the tarot cards, and they're just as good as anybody else. So they just picked it up as they went. And you can do that too. So is it really that important to have some clear-cut, precise practice in place? No. Another thing I would suggest doing is working with one particular spread when you do readings for people. Maybe two. A 3-card spread is always a good one in a pinch, throwing 3 cards over. But have another spread. It could be a gypsy spread. It could be a horoscope spread. Whatever you like. I like the Celtic Cross. I always did. Any pro readings I do, I've always used the Celtic Cross. And my system of the Celtic Cross, which is covered in my books, I go through that in any one of my books, is my system to it. So I've changed some of the position meanings to things that I think are more useful today. And probably other authors have probably done the same thing. I don't know. But I would try to find a spread that you think would work no matter what the question is. You'll be able to find a good answer. And the old thinking was, depending on the question, you would use a different spread. So a relationship spread, you would use this spread. Career spread, you would use this spread over here. And you had to learn all these different spreads. You don't need to do that. One spread is all you need with position meanings that are meaningful no matter what you're looking into. That's what you need. There's some different things you can do to practice. I'm going to turn the overhead on and show you some things that I think would be a good way for you to practice with the cards. And but have fun with it. Have fun with it. This is my Celtic cross, and I have those in my log book here. You can get to. And keep track of your readings this way. You can also print this diagram out, same diagram. You can print it out from tarotmaps.com. I'll put a link down below and go into the downloads page, and you can just print out a bunch of these. And you'll have them. And keep a record of it. Keep a record of your readings. One thing you could do to practice reading tarot cards, take a 3-card, try to learn how to read fluently. And if you know keywords to your meanings, it helps blend one card into the other to make out some type of a meaning on all 3 cards. So if I take there's 3 cards, I'm going to say a good understanding of something you're trying to create right now. I see brings further understanding and new progress in your thinking. 2 queens and an emperor card. You have a lot of knowledge on a situation that allows you to make a good choice to making a completion. Really inspired and motivated by something to move forward with a lot of confidence on this new endeavor you're going in, a new direction. Things like this help you move forward. Advancements on a creative idea might show delays. So you can just keep on moving this over. You just keep on doing that and practicing 3-card spreads, fluent reading them as you're throwing them over. This is a nice way to get those cards to just start sparking ideas to you instead of overthinking them. And you can do that in a regular pro reading too. And you could always go back later and fine tune it even more. If I wanted to say the truth of the situation and the truth of this new situation will show there's a lot of changes. Now that I've said that, I can go in depth on these cards to that person if I'm reading them. So you can play around with that. Also, it's a good idea if you do practice, say the words out loud. Because if you're just thinking them, you think a lot quicker than you could talk. And if you're practicing on how you're going to talk to people, it's nice to be able to do the reading as if you actually have a person sitting there with you. So actually speak as you're talking. I mean, as you're looking at reading the cards, even if there's nobody else in the house. It's a good way you'll see yourself verbally expressing a lot better than just mentally expressing. Now you could do that with a Celtic cross. After a while, you could say, well, there's an isolation on a creative idea you're looking into. Right now, you feel you're very confident about the situation as you're trying to take on obstacles and move forward. You have the ability to make this happen, and I do see involvement moving forward in the next 3 months, real progress. You might not really know where the direction of this is going, but it is the time to advance on this. And you know it's a new idea, you know it's something new, and anticipate a lot of reversals, a lot of different ways of looking at this, and a lot of things changing in dramatic ways as you move forward. Oh, there, that was just a fluent read. Practice that. And then again, like I said, you can go into these in depth afterwards. But practicing a fluent read is a nice way to learn. And you'll see if you know keywords, you can also get keyword meanings on my website, tarotmaps.com, in the downloads page again. Same place you get these. There's a list of keywords there you can get for the cards. And I would suggest learning keywords, whether they're mine or somebody else's. Mine are agreeable with anybody else's probably. But They're ones that I put in my books, and they work well for me, and that's what I teach with. Another thing you can do is just out of your mind, try to draw cards. Draw cards from your mind. Knight Cups, Ace Wands, Wheel, 6 coins, Strength, Page Cups, Devil, 6. I think I already have wands. No, 6 wands. Good. No, I don't. Chariot. And the Fool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of these are majors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 majors. Good. So, and you could just look and you see, these cards just came to my head, and I put them down on paper. Well, now I have a reading. I can look into this, and I can actually read this without any cards at all. I put cards in there from my mind. I did not put them in there from an actual deck. Doesn't make any difference, though. Whether they came from here or my mind doesn't make any difference. I have a reading right now. And if you have a diagram of the spread, you can do that. And you could also save this. You could save this 2023. Whatever I come up with, I can write notes on the side here. And what I was looking into, a question, whatever it was. So yeah, you could do all sorts of things like that with this. And just keep this. What's your reading? That's another nice thing to do. It helps you expand your knowledge of the cards in different ways that are usually not taught, but they're good exercises for you. But if you can do this, make it a lot easier when you start laying them out on the table. So that helps. Try to stay away from the old stuff. Like I said, this really is, it's kind of outdated as far as I'm concerned. Respect to it. I have a high respect for the old names: Crowley, Waite, Levi, Aliette, Pappas. Those are classic names. But I would stay with something newer, because that old stuff will really confuse you. And it really goes into detail that you can spend a lifetime looking into, and it isn't going to do you any good because you're not going to use it. And I really think that especially the Golden Dawn, I really think that they really tried to make rocket science out of something that's really not that difficult. We're looking for constructive answers to a question. The tarot deck is a deck of ideas. It has no power. It's an idea generator. That's what this deck is. The deck full of ideas. And if you apply a tarot reading, you will get answers that you would have never thought of without doing a card reading. So it's a good way to be innovative. It's a good way to be imaginative. And also what'll spark is your intuition. You watch, it'll happen. But print out a bunch of these, play around with them. Either that, or you could also just throw a spread and then record the spread onto one of these. And then you could look at it later and analyze it. You don't need the cards in front of you. You could be sitting in front of the television with this in front of you saying, this is my reading. Okay. Well, I see this and I see this over here. Okay. You could play around, because you could hold this and take it with you anywhere you want. Where here, when you have these cards laid out on the table, you can't leave the table to look at it, to go get it off your mind with something else. You have to stay right there and look at the cards. Got this. You can let it play around in your head and see what you come up with. And you watch, you look at this reading over and over again. You look at it today and you look at it again tomorrow, you're going to see things tomorrow that you didn't see today. Because it takes a while for those ideas to come to you. But the more you read, the more you weed, the quicker those ideas are going to come. And so pretty soon they're coming instantly. That's why I think that 3-card fluent reading is a good idea. You want those ideas to come to you right away. Choices on which direction to go will show good success once you get the guidance. You need guidance before you make that choice. Advancements on an attainment that you've run for a long time will be successful with the 9 of Pentacles. Just reading fluent. The big help. So the 3-card spread doesn't have to be past, present, and future. You get 3 cards that work together doing something there. It doesn't have to be this is your past, this is your present, this is your future. I don't ever use that anyway. I like to see what these 3 cards working together can show me as far as a message. Taking actions to complete something will bring the attainment, and the objective will be fulfilled that you're looking to do. Work like that. Give you more meaning, more advice for your clients, and it will make you more familiar with the cards, because you can actually do them by holding them in your hand now instead of memorizing things out of a book. Those are just good ways to start getting familiar with the cards. And then if you want to play around with a fancy deck, after you got familiar with a Rider deck or a Marseille deck, then you want to play around. Then you can say, "Oh, I'm going to try this fancy deck," because you know the 8 of Swords, and this might be totally different from what you're used to, but you know what the 8 of Swords means to you. It doesn't make any difference if it's this picture or this picture or any other. 8 of Swords is 8 of Swords. And so use a familiar deck first, because most books you're going to pick up at the store are going to be using this deck, the Rider-Waite. So get yourself there's versions of this. Get the Universal Weight. It's one of the best ones, I think. I don't have a copy of it here, but any version of the Rider-Waite deck will work. And I would also suggest getting a Marseille deck, because that's where it all started. And if you could read a Marseille deck with the pip cards, you could read anything. So anyway, I'll put a link down below to where you could get these downloads for the keywords. And take a look at them, see if you like the keywords. And also where you can download these. And you could print these, take print out 4 of them, and then turn the paper over and print out the other side. This way they're both 2-sided. But just scratch paper for your card reading. If you could, I think the Celtic Cross with me has always been my go-to. And it's a good spread. My position meanings will work with any question asked. At least I haven't found one in 30 years that I wouldn't answer. 30 years as a pro. So that should tell you something right there. Our next Zoom meeting is March 14th. Tarot Maps, same place. Go to Tarot Gatherings in the menu. And downloads page in the menu for these things. And the Tarot Gatherings page will have a link to go right into the Zoom meeting. All are welcome. Come on by, say hello. You got a question? Maybe we've got an answer for you. Thanks for watching. Keep throwing cards. Bye.